Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the 2016 Facebook Advertising Summit. I want to thank everyone who's new to joining us today, as well as those who are joining us from yesterday's presentation. But we still have 2 more days. We have today and tomorrow with our partners over at AddShoppers and also AddEspresso. Today's presentation will be by AddShoppers. But just wanted to, quick announcement here before we actually begin today's presentation. And I'm sure many of you have actually already seen this or heard of it, but CPC Strategy has actually officially launched our new Facebook Performance Marketing Program, which specializes in diagnosing and executing on ad strategies that align Facebook with your unique business objectives. Like I said, I'm sure you've heard of this yesterday, and we've also sent out an email to some of the audience as well today. We just wanted you guys to let you know about this new program that we've established. There'll be a link in the chat box with some more info, but definitely just wanted to make the announcement there. And so just to kind of go along here and go into the actual summit breakdown. So this is the actual breakdown of the summit. What we talked about yesterday, day 1, optimizing your Facebook dynamic ads. That was with our COO at CPC Strategy and one of the co-founders. Today is going to be with Peter Mesmer, the Director of Growth at AddShoppers. He's going to be talking about how to fix non-converting social traffic. And then finally, we have Max, many of you may know him from AddEspresso. He's one of the founders at AddEspresso. He's going to be talking about custom audiences from 0 to hero in just 4 steps. So some great presentations left. But before we actually begin today's presentation, I just wanted to discuss a few event logistics. We discussed this yesterday, but just wanted to bring it up and remind everyone for today. You can submit your questions in the chat box to the right. Myself and a couple of our partners over at AddShoppers will be behind the scenes answering questions and adding them to the live Q&A at the end as well. The session recording will be sent out this Friday, 9/16, so be on the lookout for an email from me. And then also there's some more resources in the handout section. I believe there's 3 handouts in there. Some good stuff, both kind of one ebook that we put together with our friends over at AddShoppers, and then also a couple of ebooks they put together themselves. So some really good resources in there. So feel free to download those. They're yours. Take notes wherever you, like I said, download them to your server, whatever you'd like. And then also be on the lookout. We have some poll questions throughout the presentation, so definitely try to answer those. It'll help Peter to engage and tailor the conversation. And so without further ado, our speaker for today's presentation is Peter Mesmer. Peter, he's constantly on a personal mission to take client performance, marketing agility, and optimization to the next level. He loves helping e-commerce brands sell more. Power from marketing, he's a go-to guy for the clients, and he's also knows the ins and outs of AddShoppers. He's also known as the big cat around the office. One last fun fact here is that Peter is actually one of the first employees at AddShoppers, so he definitely knows a thing or two about social marketing. Without further ado, I would like to hand over today's presentation to Peter.
Thanks, Nick. I'm so excited to be here, and big thank you to CPC Strategy for inviting us to this event. Really looking forward to this. So today, what we're going to be talking about is how to fix non-converting social traffic. So one of the things that many of you guys might have going on in your head when you're thinking about your traffic and analyzing all of your traffic sources is, we have all this traffic from social, Facebook primarily. Why doesn't it convert as well as some of our other traffic, such as search traffic, organic search, paid search, whatever? So this is what we're going to be taking a really deep dive into today, and I'm, like I said, really excited. I've prepared a really interesting presentation for you guys. So as you guys know, my name is Peter Mesmer. Nick had a very nice intro, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip through this and jump over to the summary of what we're going to be covering here today. So first up, we're going to talk about the current state of social traffic. So in order to really understand how to drive conversions from social, we're going to have to understand how social operates and what is that traffic, why are they there, what's their mindset, and all of that stuff. We need to get into their heads, of all those social media visitors in order to understand how we can get them to convert. This is going to introduce us to a shift in strategy that we need to take that is going to be very different from how you might be approaching other sources, such as search traffic, for example, and then that is going to introduce us to a concept called micro moments, and we'll be looking at how to really take that to the next level and drive as much performance as we possibly can out of our social traffic, whether that's paid social or organic social. And then lastly, I just have a quick announcement about Pop-Up Doomsday, so stay tuned for that at the very end. So really quick, a little bit about us here at AddShoppers if you aren't familiar with who we are yet. Essentially what we are is an on-site marketing platform, and our apps help increase your average revenue per visitor by basically turning browsers into buyers and buyers into loyal advocates that spread the word and talk about your brand. So a little over 1,000 brands worldwide are using our platform. You can see some of those on the screen on the right. And our average increase in revenue per visitor is 38%. So that's a really quick look at AddShoppers. If you have any questions about us as we're going through here, feel free to just drop those in the Q&A box, and we have people standing by to take your questions, as well as obviously anything on the presentation. So this leads me to the beginning and helping us understand the current state of social traffic. So we really need to understand what's going on in these visitors' minds who are coming from social before we can really focus on conversions. So a couple things here. The first thing that we're going to want to understand and really reiterate, I think most people understand this at some level, but as marketers we tend to forget about this. So why do people use social? Now, I think, again, as marketers, if you see number 1, 2, and 3 here on the screen, I think we tend to almost lie to ourselves and think that number 3 is really the primary reason that most people are on social, but I think logically at some level we know it's not. I mean, the number 1 reason that most people use social is going to be simply as a time suck or an addictive time killer, something you just do when you're bored at home or you're commuting or you're doing whatever. You tend to just pull up Facebook. It's your default kind of thing to do when you're bored, and you need some kind of mental stimulation. So that's really reason number 1. The people use Facebook, games and addictive stuff and videos. That's really what people come to Facebook for. And then number 2 is going to be connecting and sharing with friends. So obviously it's a social network. It's how you stay in touch with people, acquaintances, whoever. So those are going to be the main 2 reasons people use social. Yes, people do want to use social to connect with brands. People do buy things off social. They are interested in some of your brand messaging and giveaways and things that you're doing to engage your audience, but it's going to be taking a back seat to some of these other things. So this is just something that we have to keep in mind as we're working with how to best engage and convert people from social. Now, another thing that's going to really help us understand who these people are and how they're using your site after coming from social is how are these people using the social network. So one stat is going to be really key here, and that's in number 1. So 90% of Facebook's daily active visitors connect via mobile. So this is going to be really important as we go through here. So just keep that in mind. The other thing to think about is really that people use social networks, and Facebook in particular, anywhere and everywhere. So this could be somebody who's pulled up Facebook while at a stoplight. They click on your ad. Now they're on your site. Light turns green. They go. What do? So this is some of the things that you have to think about if we're really going to take a hard look at figuring out how to convert these social visitors. So why is all of this important? So obviously we came here to talk about conversions. How can we drive sales and hard revenue from social? So we've looked at a couple stats, maybe more anecdotal evidence, but really what's happening here is 2 key trends are coming together. So one thing that I want to point out and reiterate is that the impact of Facebook is increasing over time. So as much as you might want to write Facebook off and say, Facebook traffic just doesn't convert for us, we're just going to forget about it and just move on to other things, its impact is increasing over time. So last year, over the entire calendar year of 2015, Facebook drove almost 22% more traffic to e-commerce sites specifically, not just blogs or content sites, e-commerce sites than the year before. So this is a really important stat because, try as you might, Facebook isn't going anywhere. So it's better to understand it and figure out how to leverage it than forget about it and just write it off as something that doesn't work. Now, at the same time, mobile devices, as we all know, are essentially taking over the world. So obviously, I think most of us have seen this at some point, maybe in an article somewhere, but PC growth is only growing at around 6% year over year, whereas mobile devices, both tablets and smartphones, are near 100% year over year growth. So people are accessing Facebook from mobile devices, if you remember that stat from a couple slides ago. And this is going to be really, really important to keep in mind as we go through here, because it's not just a social strategy that we need to think about, we need to be thinking about a mobile strategy as well. So why is this all important? Well, if you take the average conversion rates and you break them down by device type, something stands out quite significantly. And I think most of you guys see something similar when you're browsing through your analytics as far as conversion rates by device. So this shouldn't be anything super new to you guys, but essentially the stat here to take away is that smartphones on average convert 2.3 times lower than desktops. So not only is it social traffic that we need to be aware of, which traditionally converts lower, obviously, but we also need to take into account that most of these visitors are visiting on their smartphone. So we need to have mobile in mind, and we need to think mobile first with social traffic. So this seems like a lot of doom and gloom, I know, and might seem, and this is essentially the challenge and why everybody's here today and why this is such a big topic. So understanding that it's a challenge and it's not going to be as straightforward as some of our traffic sources is the first step. The second step is obviously figuring out what do we do about this. So let's start by looking at exactly how social traffic converts. So once we strip away all of the negativity around social traffic and it doesn't work and all of that good stuff, let's actually look at social traffic that we have seen to convert. So if we dive into those analytics, it can help us uncover some really interesting data that we can then use to figure out how to run campaigns that are going to convert that social traffic. So I pulled some data directly from Google Analytics, and this is kind of a lot to look at, so don't worry, I will go slow and introduce you to this data here. But essentially what we're looking at here is we're taking social traffic and we're comparing it directly to both organic search traffic and paid search traffic. And we're looking at the number of touch points that each conversion needed to have before that sale was made. And we're seeing how social differs from search traffic. So if you look up here in the top left of the screen here, this part here that says it's path length and interactions 1, so you see this first social traffic, organic search, and paid search on the very left. What essentially we're saying here is that around 33% of organic search conversions and around 31.5% of paid search conversions happened on a single touch point. So this would be someone, they saw your listing in Google or a Google ad, they clicked on it, and they purchased immediately. Now, if we contrast that to social traffic, only around 23% of social conversions happened on the first touch point. So what this is saying is that search traffic converts much faster than social traffic does. So this is something that we need to keep in mind when thinking about how to market to social visitors. Now, if we take a look at the opposite side of the spectrum, so conversions that needed 12 or more touch points, now it's heavily skewed in favor of social. So now around 13.5% of all social conversions took 12 or more touch points, compared to only about 8 to 9% of search conversions. So you can see that essentially search conversions convert quicker than social conversions. If we take a look at this a little bit more simply, you see the same pattern happening, and it's almost a little bit more pronounced here. If you simply just look at time, so the number of days that it took for a conversion to happen, search traffic, about 50%, 50 to 55% of search conversions happen within 1 day, whereas only around 35% of social conversions do. And then if we look at the opposite spectrum again, conversions that took over 12 days to happen, now it's much more heavily skewed towards social. So around 41% of social conversions happened 12 days or later after the initial touch, and then with search, it's down to around 23 or 24%. So essentially what this is saying is that social conversions take much longer, and quick poll here for you guys. Just want to get some data from you guys. Just what percentage of traffic do you currently get from social? If you don't know the exact number, it's fine. Just have a couple ranges here that you can choose from. So quick poll, I'm just interested in seeing how much traffic you guys get from social right now. Go ahead and fill that out, and then we will jump right back into it.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, I have that currently running up in the background, but the results seem pretty conclusive. Yeah, I'll share the results now with you. I'm not sure if you can actually see them. but it looks like the bulk of the audience, about 70%, give or take, about 0 to 25% are actually coming from social. So something good to know kind of going ahead.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for putting your input in. So the majority of people, as we saw, it's between 0 and 25%, although the interesting thing is that around 31%, if I remember, of the audience here gets more than a quarter of traffic from social. So, if that's you, this is going to be really powerful. But even for the people that get a little bit less, one thing to think about is if social was really working and you had a good, maybe a funnel or something that was really working well for social, would you want to get more traffic from social? So something to think about there, as we go through here. Like if you can get some of these strategies working, you might want to increase that percentage if it's working. So moving on, this basically what we need to do here, taking that data into account and understanding and knowing that social traffic, it's not necessarily bad and it's not necessarily non-converting. We just need to approach it from a different angle. We need to shift our strategy towards incorporating more touch points and what we call more micro moments before really worrying about driving a direct conversion such as a sale. So we're going to introduce the concept of mobile micro moments, also called what we'll talk about as secondary conversions here in a minute. So this is essentially the summary of the change in strategy that we need to be thinking about with this mobile and social strategy, knowing that we need to incorporate a longer sales cycle and more touch points. So we really need to be thinking about generating micro moments and secondary conversions. So what does this mean? If you're not yet familiar with kind of the terminology that we're using here, a secondary conversion is a conversion that leads to a primary conversion, which is placing an order. Now, I realize that still may sound a little bit vague, so I put together a quick hierarchy of some example secondary conversions. So these are listed out following a scale of good up to ultimate. And these are examples. They're all examples of secondary conversions that are going to be really important when taking your social traffic into account. So a good secondary conversion to get is cookieing the visitor that you can later use for remarketing. So this is a strategy it's definitely really powerful and important. I'm not going to go into much detail on this because you're going to get a lot about this in tomorrow's session. So just know that gathering your retargeting audience from any social traffic is going to be really important, and having a solid remarketing strategy is going to be really important. So that's all I'm going to mention on that one. And then the following three we're really going to focus in on here in a second. So a better secondary conversion is capturing a visitor's email address so you can follow up more directly. The best, what we're calling here, secondary conversion, is not just capturing an email address, but getting a visitor to create a store account. And then the ultimate secondary conversion is going to be capturing that same data, but getting that visitor to generate a customer referral and invite a friend or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and go through, starting with the better, some examples of campaigns that you can run here to follow this strategy shift to micro moments rather than treating your traffic the same way as you might do in search and focusing on driving primary conversions right away. So here's an example of something that you might do to capture that better secondary conversion of collecting email addresses. So something like this is a campaign that you might want to run to capture emails from your Facebook traffic. So the important thing at play here is running some kind of campaign that's going to be triggered as soon as people come to your site from Facebook, that's going to compel them to give you their email address. So I don't need to go into too much detail on why capturing emails is powerful. Obviously, you guys know this. The savvy marketers. Following up via email marketing is really important. Really, the thing that you need to think about here, and this is why this micro moment is so important, is converting this visitor from a social traffic source, which obviously doesn't convert quite as well, into an email subscriber where now you're tapping into a source of traffic that's going to convert much higher. And so a couple examples of campaigns that you might want to run here if you're thinking this looks really basic, or maybe you're already doing something like this, is in addition to what you see in the screenshot here is doing a join our newsletter offer, you could also do things like giveaways, Facebook exclusive giveaways work really well. Free shipping, like in this example, works well. Coupon codes is a kind of an old staple, but some people might want to stay away from coupons if you avoid discounting. Secret sales, so something like a Facebook exclusive sale is really powerful. Like a free gift as well, so a free gift for all Facebook visitors or something like that can be really compelling things that'll get them to leave their email address with you. So this is going to be really powerful, so you should definitely be thinking about campaigns like this, focusing on that micro moment, rather than trying to drive direct sales immediately from that social traffic, because we've already looked at the data and that's not really the most effective way to market on social. So here's an actual real live example that one of our clients uses for their Facebook traffic. So you can see here, it may look really simplistic. What we're doing is we're presenting the visitor from Facebook with a customized message calling out the fact that they came from Facebook. So like I said, this may look simplistic, but this offer converts at around 15% to email subscribers. So 15% of the people that see this offer from coming directly from Facebook fill it out, so that's the email capture. And then once somebody's filled that out, enter their email, they convert at 15% again to sales. So this is, when we talk about converting social traffic, this is a perfect example of how it's actually done. Real client, real example, real data. So now moving on to the best secondary conversion, which is creating an account, or also called social login. So a couple of reasons why this is better than the last one we looked at. So reason number one is going to be you capture more data here. So if you use something like a social login, what you're doing, in addition to just capturing an email address, you can capture basically enough data to create a store account. So name, email, rich demographic data like age, gender, birthday. So what you can do is create store accounts. Now the second reason why this is a lot better than the one we just looked at, where you're simply capturing an email, is it's much easier for the customer to do. So tapping one button on your smartphone is way easier than entering in your email address manually using a smartphone keyboard. So you're going to get a higher conversion rate from people doing that. And it also makes total sense. People are coming from Facebook, then a Facebook login button makes total sense, because obviously they use Facebook, they're already logged into Facebook, so it's much less friction than asking someone to enter their email. Quick snapshot of some of the data that you can get from social login. So obviously we talked about things like first name, email. Some of the other ones that are worth pointing out are gender, birthday, location. Profile picture can be a fun one depending on how you market to your customers. Some of these more advanced ones that you see on the right, like amount of social revenue or number of social referrals, can depend on the platform that you're using. If you use a platform like AddShoppers, we can provide that data. I'm not sure about other platforms. It may or may not be available depending on what you use. And so that's the best example of what we call the best secondary conversion. Now moving on to the ultimate secondary conversion, incentivizing social sharing and doing what we can to get people inviting their friends to the store is going to be what we call the ultimate secondary conversion. So the reason that this is so powerful is not only are we capturing the exact same data that we just looked at via social login, but we're getting these visitors or customers to invite their friends. And what this is doing is it's bringing in new traffic, new email subscribers, and new customers without having to pay for any kind of traffic. And really the bonus is, referrals tend to convert much higher than any other traffic source anyway. So it's going to be really powerful, and a little goes a long way here. So, if you have a really good, really well-performing Refer a Friend program, as we're seeing in this example, that can be a really powerful way to, make the most of social. Not just social traffic, because it's going to convert higher, but social networks in general, because now you're turning it into a growth tool and implementing like a viral loop. So that's going to be an example of the ultimate secondary conversion. Quick case study that I just wanted to share. So I wanted to give you guys maybe some hope, or maybe just some data, so that that some of these strategies work. So one of our clients called Noodle, they implemented most of these strategies, and With sharing and social referral track, they saw about a 20x increase in both of those metrics. And social revenue wasn't quite as pronounced, but an over 800% increase in social revenue was still definitely nothing to laugh at. And since we're focusing on Facebook primarily here, I figured it was pointing out that over 40% of these increases came from Facebook alone. So definitely very powerful, and they definitely work well for Facebook. So now I want to talk about a couple strategies that we can implement to take the things that we just looked at to the next level. So these are going to be some more advanced strategies that you might want to put into place once you have the previous strategies up and running, and you need to take things to a higher level. Or if you just like doing the best right out of the gate, you could always start out with these. But these are going to be a couple more advanced campaigns. So the first one here is going to be referring source targeting. This is really, really powerful, especially, well, it's really powerful on just about any network. It's especially powerful on networks like Facebook, and this is going to be a way to capture more email addresses. So if you're doing a strategy either around email capture, which is what we call the better secondary conversion, or even a social login, which we call the best social secondary conversion, this is going to be really powerful to get more people to convert on those secondary conversions. So what we're doing here is we're calling out a Facebook exclusive offer, and we also have that social login button, which we also talked about, as far as why that's more powerful than having an email capture. So what we've seen here with the data and running offers like this for some of our clients is we've seen on average a 29% increase in email capture rate, or form completion rate here. So this is a great way to drive those secondary conversions and make the difference essentially between traffic that's going to come once from social and never come back, and then traffic that's going to come, they're not going to convert on the first touch point, but they're at least going to connect, and they're going to give you that secondary conversion and then down the line you can follow up via email marketing, retargeting, whatever, and eventually turn that visitor into a customer. So this is really powerful, and essentially this is just segmenting out your traffic and showing them a more targeted, personalized message. So it might seem like a lot, but it's really not too much to do. Now the next one that we're going to look at here is really taking that concept, but it's driving it to the highest level possible. So the reason that the last example that we looked at with the referring source targeting converts better is because it's more personalized. So if we're thinking about personalization and we know that that's why it's driving a higher response rate, why not just take that example, as far as it can go? So one thing that we've been experimenting with on our platform is these one-to-one personalized offers. So we're not just targeting based on knowing the fact that this person came from Facebook. Now we're running an offer, and it's built around this person's or whatever the customer's actual personal data. So you can't really get more personalized than this. So if you look at the example on the right, we know from data that we've captured via social login, if you remember that, we know that it's this person's birthday, we know their name, and we know their profile picture. So why not show a special offer calling all of this data out? So in this example, it's basically a birthday offer, and obviously something like this is going to convert like crazy. What we've seen across our platform with clients that have run similar offers is around 600% more actions when we have this personalization data. So an action would be a social login, an email capture, a form submit, something like that. And we've seen around 9 to 10% increase in revenue just from adding some personalized data here. So really powerful. You can even keep your campaigns exactly the same and just personalize them and see a 10%, 9 to 10% revenue. So definitely something that works really well here, and this is a way that you can, like I said, drive more secondary conversions, which is really the name of the game when you're thinking about social traffic. So next up here, this is going to be the last advanced offer that we're going to look at as far as secondary conversions, and this is going to be mobile abandonment targeting. So one thing that obviously you already know is a lot of traffic comes from social, Facebook primarily, and most of that traffic leaves. So if you can catch those people right before they leave, hit the back button and go to Facebook, and show some kind of offer that's going to drive a secondary conversion. So in this example, you'll see it on the screen here, and it's basically an animation showing this in action. So if you're browsing around the site, let's say you came from Facebook, and then you go back, you swipe left to go back like you would on your mobile phone, we can show an offer right before that, right before it actually goes back, and you'll see here it's promoting a social login action. So this is going to be obviously that better or the best secondary conversion if someone chooses to do this. So this is a way to make the most of that mobile traffic, obviously that's coming from social, and with the personalization in place, you can see a 16% higher conversion rate. So this is really a way to drive more secondary conversions out of traffic that's on mobile, and they're about to leave. So if you can convert some of those abandoners into secondary conversions, that can mean the difference between a profitable and a non-profitable social campaign. So that's going to wrap up more of the advanced strategies around secondary conversions and capturing those secondary conversions for your social traffic. Just to summarize, before we jump into a quick announcement around the pop-up doomsday, essentially the key takeaways. So you want to make sure that with social, you are focusing on a longer sales cycle. So don't worry too much about driving sales right away from your Facebook ads, for example. If you're going to focus on driving sales right away, I would definitely think about some kind of a marketing funnel where rather than trying to drive a sale that's going to yield an immediate profit, run like a free plus shipping offer or something like that. That's really the only thing that I would recommend, trying to drive an immediate sale on that first conversion from social traffic, especially Facebook. Other than that, I would recommend just doing things that are less salesy and going to get people engaged. So things like giveaways, free downloads, secret sales, things like that require email addresses. And that way, you're going to be going down the right path of capturing secondary conversions leading up to the eventual, final primary conversion, i.e. placing an order. So that's a quick, wrap up. And then obviously we went through those strategies of ways to improve the response rate there. And with that, I want to go ahead and quick announcement around from AddShoppers here. So if you haven't heard yet the news, a couple weeks ago, Google released a blog post, and essentially what they said is that on January 10th, 2017, they are going to start penalizing sites that have immediate pop-ups upon entry on mobile devices. So this is what we're calling pop-up doomsday over here at AddShoppers, and essentially, if you don't want to be penalized in the Google search results, this is something you really need to pay attention to. So what we've been putting together for you guys and just about everybody is an educational site. If you go to, you'll see the link at the bottom. If you go to popupdoomsday.com, you can check out basically everything you need to know, as well as what the solution for this is going to look like. So really important kind of event that really affects just about everybody in the industry. And one thing that I also want to point out, not to really go into this too much, but if you know Google, essentially what I think they're going to do, and what I really project out, is if they get what they're looking for with targeting immediate pop-ups on mobile devices, they're going to expand that out to targeting desktop or any devices that have immediate pop-ups. So really January 10th, 2017, it's definitely going to affect mobile devices, but who knows, maybe January 10th, 2018, they're going to start targeting desktops too. So this is something that we think you guys really need to stay on top of, and we are also trying to stay on top of it here at AddShoppers. So if you have any interest in learning more about that, just go to popupdoomsday.com to check that out. And so quick question, another poll question for you guys. If you want a free pop-up doomsday audit from us here at AddShoppers, just let us know, select the yes please option. What we'll basically do here, I'll tell you guys what we'll do is we'll take a look at your site and your strategy on both mobile and desktop and make sure that you're going to be safe, essentially, and everything that you do will be cool with the upcoming updates. We can also look at things different than that. So any of the stuff that we looked at today, if you want to talk strategy with any of those things that we looked at, that's totally fine. And we can look at that too, do an audit of your, maybe of your checkout process or essentially whatever it is that you guys are focused on. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes to fill that out, and then we will have Q&A immediately after. So any questions, go ahead and get those in so that we can handle those here at the end.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, I'm going to let the poll question kind of run in the background as we kind of jump into the Q&A portion, but I definitely want to thank you for a great presentation today, getting a lot of good feedback from the audience. But now, like I said, we got the rest of the time, about 20 or so minutes to answer any of your questions, so definitely submit those in the chat box. We have Bree and Aaron from AddShoppers in the background kind of helping to cipher through all the questions and make sure that we get to everyone's questions as possible. So let's just jump in. I have a question here starting off with from Jamie. Wants to know how important is ad relevance on Facebook and how does one increase it?
So it's going to be really important. It's really just about any paid advertising platform, the relevance is always going to be important. I would say it's extremely important. So if you look in Google, Facebook, I know they give you an ad relevance quality score, and that's something you're definitely going to want to stay on top of. So if you're getting anything less than probably 5 or 6, you're really going to need to make sure that what you're doing is a good fit. What I mean by doing is what you're advertising is a good fit for your audience, and it's getting good click-through and engagement rates. This is actually a question that if you guys work with either CPC Strategy or AddEspresso at all, I would definitely ask them as well, because our kind of specialty is more around the organic stuff and the on-site conversion. But I do know personally that it is critically important, your relevance score on Facebook ads. So really make sure to focus on that.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Let's see, we have a question here, or an organic question from Alex, saying we're a broker, so not much organic interest in our Facebook page. Not to mention we don't have a coupon, free shipping, or other account to create the Facebook logins. Do you have any thoughts or ideas on how to actually grow our B2B Facebook page?
Yeah, so B2B on Facebook is going to be more around things like content. So content marketing is going to be really big. If there's any kind of free giveaway, free download, free opt-in, that can be really powerful. So think about things like educational resources that you can give away for free is going to be one. And that's going to be a little bit of a shorter term strategy. So you would run either an ad or a promoted post that kind of directly promotes a piece of content that you can give away in exchange for capturing an email address. So that's going to be one. A second strategy that you might want to think about, and this is basically just going to depend on how your audience is and basically the quality of the content on your page, but another strategy that you can take is going to be actually to just publish a lot of free ungated content, so on your blog posts and things like that, and promote those on your on your Facebook page, and promote those posts and get as many people as you can clicking over and reading those blog posts. So you're going to need to make sure that those are super high quality, super valuable content, so that people actually read them. That's really the first step. And then once you have something that is powerful and people actually read it, what you can do then is you can retarget the people that read that post with follow-up ads that are going to promote something that requires an email capture. And then you can also embed what's called content upgrades into those blog posts, where people come, they read your blog post, and then a content upgrade is going to be something that offers additional value that's relevant to what your post is about. So if you have a post on 7 things to think about before selecting a broker, then you might want to have, so you'll have a really high quality piece of content for those 7 ways, and then somewhere, or even in multiple places embedded in that blog post, you could have an additional guide that requires an email capture on, like 5, let's say 5 critical questions to ask your broker before selecting one. So obviously, that's just off the top of my head, but hopefully that gives you guys an idea of a strategy that should be pretty effective for Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. Let's see, another question here about the pop-up doomsday. Talking about, do you expect Google, this one's from Sam, do you expect Google to penalize abandonment ads?
No. Abandonment ads should be fine. And the reason, and actually, what we can do is, or really, if you go to the, it's webmasters.google.com, I think. If you just Google the Google Webmaster blog, you can find the post. It was from a couple weeks ago, but and you can see all the details. But essentially, they did not say anything about abandonment targeting. It's just things that are triggered immediately upon entry. Because essentially, what they're doing is they're trying to enforce essentially a higher quality user experience. So things that have a pop-up on entry are more intrusive to the user experience than things that fire on abandonment. So yeah, essentially, to sum it up, they haven't said anything about targeting abandonment just yet.
Thanks, Peter. Another question here. Sorry if I mispronounce this. Serenity has a. She's saying he or she's saying, as a product affiliate marketer, how can we leverage social traffic from not just Facebook but perhaps Twitter too?
Okay, so if you're an affiliate marketer, I think it's going to be really important to build up your own audience. So whether that's on building up your audience on Facebook and converting them into email, subscribers or whatever. I think really, I almost want to with affiliate marketing, I almost want to take a step back behind on top of that and just make sure that just talk the strategy a little bit. Because obviously, as an affiliate, there's a lot of competition with other affiliates. So what can you do to stand out is really going to be the bigger question, alongside how can you use social to get traffic. So I think if you can come up with a really good strategy around what your value is as an affiliate marketer, it's going to be really important first and foremost. So figure out what you can do that's unique. So whether that's just publishing a ton of content around whatever it is you're an affiliate for, if it's something that's more like performance-based than actually taking what it is that you're an affiliate for and maybe just publishing a lot about your results with it or something like that. Just come up with something that's unique about what you do. And I think once you come up with that strategy for moving forward and being an affiliate and really figuring out what your value is, then that'll really help you figure out what you want to post on social about and what your strategy is there. So once you know that, then I would really recommend keeping your website and your own email list is kind of like the central hub that everything revolves around. And then your social profiles are going to be things that you can do to get a lot of attention and direct people to your blog posts. So one thing that you might want to do is anytime you publish a blog post, push it out on social. Also, if you can come up with any kind of key like tweetable or shareable facts from the posts that you put out, you can schedule those to go out maybe once a week or something like that, so that you can take any of the content that you're using and repurpose it over and over and over for social. So I was actually learning about a software, I can't remember what the name of it was, but essentially what it does is it allows you to repeat tweets like once every couple weeks, and that can be a really cool way to take those tweetable facts from your articles and your blog posts and get those going out over and over. So it's kind of like a constant stream of traffic going back to your blog posts, where then you convert them into email subscribers. So I think that would be really powerful for affiliate marketing. And depending on what it is, if it's something that you can do like a giveaway around, that could also be really powerful to capture email addresses from social, and it'll give you something to really to promote. So something that would work really well is, let's say you're an affiliate for, I'm just going to come up with something off the top of my head. Let's say you're an affiliate for some kind of training program for playing tennis, and it's something around how to improve some aspect of your tennis game, and that's the product you promote. You could run a giveaway for some kind of a really cool free like tennis racket or something. I'm just coming up with things off the top of my head, like I said, but come up with some kind of really cool giveaway. And in the way that giveaway works, this is something we do over here, but make it so that step one is to enter your name and email. That gives you the leads, obviously, that you can then follow up with later and promote your products to. And then step 2 of that giveaway would be to share out for additional entries. So that's going to help you create a viral loop and a lot more buzz around the giveaway, which is in turn going to give you more leads. And so at the end of the day, you'll end up with a lot of email addresses. And then you can take those emails and nurture them over email and eventually pitch some of the affiliate products. So hope that makes sense. I know that was a really long-winded answer, but yeah, hope that makes sense. And I hope you
Thanks,
delve
Peter.
into that.
No, it's good. Another question here from Kirasan. Sorry again if I mispronounce it, but saying, I'm focusing on kitchen gadgets as a niche site. No conversions yet, but lots of likes and shares. What would you suggest for retargeting based off of the data from an advertising manager? For example, like age, placement, men, women. Is there any tips you can kind of give him for retargeting purposes?
Yeah, I will do my very best to giving you some tips. I would also recommend that you ask this exact same question tomorrow, because that's something that AddEspresso is really good at. But I will do my best to give you some tips there. So if you're promoting the kind of the kitchen gadget niche, and you have some likes and shares but no sales yet, if you have enough likes and shares, I'm not sure what kind of volume we're talking about, but if you have enough, you should be able to go into the insights and see like what the commonalities are between the audience members that have liked and shared it, and then you could try creating ads that target that same demographic. That would work, I think, fairly well for getting more likes, more shares, and hopefully some email addresses. You could advertise some kind of a free offer, a giveaway, something like that, maybe a coupon code. I think that would work well for driving clicks and shares, and maybe more likes and stuff like that, assuming the demographic does end up being a good one. I would kind of word of caution, I wouldn't necessarily expect to drive tons of sales off something like that. So kind of to go back to the whole presentation, if you can collect email addresses, that'll be a really big win. It's going to take some time to convert those into into sales. So you would definitely want to make sure you have your retargeting strategy on point there, so that anybody that does click over from those ads, they're building that retargeting audience. And then you can show ads again that might be a little bit more directly focused towards sales, and driving a conversion, as well as obviously in your follow-up emails to that group.
Great, thanks, Peter. Taking a little bit off Facebook now, and Mark wants to know: do you have any strategies for Instagram for growing like an email database, perhaps?
Yeah, so obviously Instagram's going to be a little different, because they don't allow you to do too many links. Obviously, you still can't link from an Instagram post. Instagram is going to be a bit of a longer even conversion cycle than like Facebook, like we talked about. So with Instagram, it's going to be all about like getting attention. And really, Instagram, it's like you want to think about Instagram a little bit differently than you would with something like Google or even Facebook. So it's going to be definitely more of like a branding platform. Now, not that you can eventually drive direct conversions from it, but with even email captures. But Instagram is going to be one where you're going to have to take a longer approach. So you're going to need to focus on, first and foremost, just getting your stuff viewed. So attracting followers and getting people to see your posts before you even think about capturing emails. So your strategy there is going to want to be just really high quality Instagram posts for one, and then you're going to want to make sure that you follow people that might follow you back, and you also try and get relationships with Instagram influencers that might do shares on behalf of each other's audience. So what you can do there, and it's really good for capturing more of an audience on Facebook, is develop a relationship with some of those Instagram influencers, and then what you do is you do a share to your audience that promotes them, and then they'll do a share to their audience that promotes you. So it's a great way to get tons of more followers. Then once you have those followers, you should start doing Instagram posts for things where they can come back to your website and download. So a bit of a longer, like I said, conversion cycle, and it's going to take a a little bit more strategy, but that should be a decent Instagram strategy to get you started there.
Great, thanks, Peter. I see a question just kind of came in from Boris. Wants to know, could you explain again what does creating a micro moment actually mean? He doesn't understand.
Sure. So the micro moment is going to be pretty much the same as secondary conversions that we talked about, so interchangeable terminology there. But essentially what a micro moment is it's anything that allows you to follow up with a visitor without them actually buying. So the entire strategy around dropping a retargeting pixel or capturing an email address or getting someone to use social login is it gives you some means of showing another either ad or message to that person after they've left, because with social, most of those people are going to leave. So that's why those secondary conversions or micro moments are so important. And hopefully that makes sense as far as what they are. So if you don't really remember anything else, just remember the examples of micro moments, and capturing an email, building your retargeting audience, getting someone to log in via social, or getting someone to refer a friend. Those are all micro moments, and so definitely remember that.
Great. Thank you, Peter. All right, so we talk about social traffic, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I see a lot of questions coming from Pinterest. Question here wants to know, where do you even start? You just kind of go all in and say, all right, I'm going to start every single platform organically, or do you try to build out one presence from Facebook or Instagram? I know they're obviously cohesive there, but is there a place to start, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so unless you have a team that can be dedicated to social, like from day one, I wouldn't recommend starting everywhere. I would definitely recommend starting on Facebook as a default, because everybody uses Facebook. Now, in certain circumstances, some networks might be better, and that's just niche specific. For example, let's say if you do like furniture or something like that, or home improvement or something like that that people pin all the time, Pinterest could be a better place to start. But unless there's a compelling reason why, I would usually start with Facebook. And when starting out on Facebook, I would I wouldn't really focus too much on sales right away and getting people to buy. If you can get people to like stuff, share stuff, and even maybe even enter their email, that's really the best way to start and to start thinking about it. You can always, once you've collected that audience, you can always experiment with different ways to engage them and get them to convert, but that would really be the best way. And then in actually starting that, what are some tactics you should use? I would definitely recommend trying different things. So it could be, maybe you just want to run giveaways on Facebook. Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. Try something different if it doesn't. Run, get people to engage, share photos or something. If that doesn't work, try something different. Try putting out a lot of content on Facebook and just linking to blog posts. If that doesn't work, try something different. Maybe videos would work really well. Put out a daily video, something like that. So I would just try a lot of different things on Facebook and see what works, see what gets the most engagement, and then go from there. And then once you find what's working, you can scale it up and do more of it. And then you can also think about how to scale that into the other networks.
Thanks, Peter. Question kind of coming back from towards the beginning of your presentation, I believe, talking about smartphones and the conversion rate there. And so you said that smartphones have a lower conversion rate. I believe that's kind of what was stated. Do you think that this will actually change over the next year or so, or is it 5 years? And it's kind of a higher level question, but definitely want to kind of address that.
Yeah, sure. So over the short term, and we'll define short term as like the next year or two, I don't think it's going to change a lot. I think mobile conversion rates on average are going to go up over the next year or two, and that's because people are going to get better at mobile usability and not just making their websites more friendly on mobile, but also implementing campaigns to increase mobile conversion rates, kind of like what we looked at today. I still don't think they'll surpass desktops over the next couple years, because still primarily one thing that you can't really change. I mean, you can optimize your website as much as you want to, but you can't change the fact that, you know, a lot of people just simply prefer buying on desktop. You know, it doesn't mean you're not going to buy, but, you know, it just means that you may see something on your phone, browse the website on your phone, but when it comes to actually buying, you know, you'll put your phone away, pull out your computer, and complete the purchase. So, you know, I don't think that's going to change a ton. I do think mobile conversion rates will go up, but so short term, I don't think I don't think mobile is going to surpass desktop. Long term, who knows? We may not use desktops at all in 10 years. Who knows? You know what's going to happen. So, kind of hard to speculate that far out. But
yeah, of course. All right, cool. So we were kind of running out of time here, but I want to get to at least one more question. I just want to announce to everyone, the recordings will be sent out Friday. All this has been recorded. You'll be receiving all 3 days of each, so yesterday's presentation, today's, and tomorrow's with AddEspresso, along with all the slides for each partner. So expect an email from CPC Strategy on Friday, and also there'll probably be another follow-up email from AddShoppers as well. But kind of one last question here to send off, but question here from Yusum wants to know, how do you do promotions like free shipping or discount or coupon codes without actually lowering the value of a brand?
So as far as couponing without like hurting, you know, your brand image too much, it's going to be, you're definitely going to want to run promotions that avoid coupons or actual discounts off your products or, you know, the total sale or whatever. So free shipping is going to be basically the one that kind of straddles the line. So it's a discount, and like you can allow people to save money, but you're avoiding discounting the actual product. So, you know, you shouldn't get into too many issues with brand erosion there. So that'll be one to think about. Obviously, if you want to do more in addition to that, I mean, essentially what you're going to want to do is avoid coupons or discounting altogether. So, you know, free shipping might be as far as you go as far as, you know, discounts. Some things that you can do that are still going to allow you to, you know, compel people to take action, whether it's finishing that sale or just entering their email. So things like giveaways can be really good, you know, enter to win. Like a free item can be cool. You know, if you check out now, you know, get a free, you know, a free lower value item on your purchase. That can be really powerful, again, without discounting anything. You know, things like, you know, access, like exclusive sales, you know, giving away things like that can be, you know, also ways that you can, you know, get people to take action without discounting the actual products. And then other things like, you know, simply, you know, if you check out now, we'll give you a $10 gift card. So it's essentially the same thing as a coupon, but it's not a coupon and it's not discounting any products. It's just giving you, you know, $10 towards a future purchase. So hope that makes sense. A couple of the other, a couple ways to incentivize essentially without couponing. This is something that we do a lot here. If you are interested, you know, at all, just reach out to us, and you know, we can kind of talk about a strategy that avoids discounting. So we hear that a lot from our clients, so we have a decent amount of experience with it. So hope that makes sense.
Great. Thank you, Peter. Again, I want to remind everyone that we do have one more session tomorrow with Max. He's going to be broadcasting live actually from Italy. So it's going to be a very good one. It's going to be talking about custom audiences from zero to hero in just 4 steps. But that's pretty much all I have for today. Peter, do you have anything kind of to leave the audience with here as we kind of move our way slowly into Q4?
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, best of luck to everybody during Q4. I'm sure we'll see, you know, we'll see the stats in the news as things come out. You know, hopefully it'll be the biggest Black Friday ever and the biggest Cyber Monday ever, and you know, hopefully the biggest Q4 season ever. Obviously, e-commerce is still growing and growing, so tons of opportunity for us. I wish everybody the best. It's going to be really exciting as we move here into Q4. Quick, just plug, I suppose, if you are interested in learning a little bit about our platform, you might be interested in a live demo. We put these on every week. We actually have one tomorrow. So you see the link on the screen right now. It's addshoppers.com/live-demo. So yeah, if you're interested at all, just you can go there and fill that out. If anybody in the audience just wants to send me an email, feel free, peter@addshoppers.com, whether it's anything about AddShoppers or just anything in general, just go for it. I'd love to connect. And Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks again, everyone, for showing up. This was really great.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter, and thanks again, everyone. See everyone tomorrow.